Hello guys, welcome to Solving Solutions, your number one channel where you get solutions to all your solving problems. It's 9th Avenue class again today. How have you been? We are going to look at something very interesting today. We are going to show you how you can geocode your addresses, right? Good. Now, if you're coming to the channel for the first time, you can encourage us by subscribing, and if you are a returning viewer, thanks for always checking up on us. So these are the names and some other address information of some federal universities in Nigeria, right? Good. So we are going to use these information, these pieces of information to geocode these addresses. Then we now overlay it, let's say, import it to any GIS software, which is QGIS, and then overlay it on an open source map, right? Good. So that's the workflow of today's video. So before we proceed, we have a link where you can read up some of these should I call it literature. Geocoding is the process of transforming a description of a location, such as a pair of coordinates, an address, or a name of a place, to a location on the Earth's surface. You can geocode by entering one location description at a time, or by providing many of them at once in a table, right? Good. So we are going to provide many of them at once in a table, right? So when you see the link, you can actually read through. So what can geocoding be used for? For simple data analysis to business and customer management with distribution techniques. There is a wide range of applications we can use geocoding for, right? So we have the address data analysis, how you can use geocoding. We have the customer data management, how you can use geocoding, and then we also have the distributed geocoding applications, right? Good. So this is geocoding using ArcGIS, right? We are using QGIS for this video. So these are some of the information you can get on geocoding. We also have another one here, QGIS geocoding, transforming addresses into points, right? Good. You can rightly see the point features there and then their corresponding addresses. Now we have QGIS geocoding converts an address into geographic coordinates within the open source GIS desktop application of QGIS, right? Good. These coordinates can then be used to plot points on the map and do everything from building simple maps to calculating directions and distances between them, right? Good. So there's a plugin for that which we are not going to use on today's video. We are going to use a feature on Google, right? Good. So we are not using this plugin on this video. So the links to all of these articles will be on the description section where you can have access to them and work with them, right? Good. So this is the data set we have, and we are going to now go to our browser. Then we are using Google Sheets for this particular exercise, right? Good. We are using Google Sheet for this particular exercise. So we are good. So we have our new spreadsheet coming up, which will be loaded in a couple of seconds. So while it's loading, let's now copy out everything we have here. By copying out everything we have here, we mean copying out your data, right? Because it serves as our data. So you copy the name, the address, the city. As you can see, the columns here are not they are not fixed. They are not fixed. But these are actually the primary columns that you need. You can decide to add as many more as you want, but we believe that it shouldn't be fewer, or it shouldn't be something completely different from what we have here, because you definitely need your address, you need the city, you need the state, the zip code of your location, right? Good. And one other thing we have come to realize about open source GIS data is that they vary from location to location. The availability of open source GIS data vary from location to location, because we are still going to work with GIS, right? So, or when you have your address well spelled out with your city and your zip code, it makes the geocoding task somewhat easier, right? Good. So we are back to our spreadsheet, which has loaded successfully. Or good, it has loaded successfully. So we are unable to use this file to open or to upload because we don't have it on our Google Sheet online, or maybe on our drive yet. So we just have to copy and paste. So if you have any spreadsheet that is saved on maybe your device or anywhere but is connected to your Gmail, right? Because Google covers so many things. So you can actually either open from there or you import. But since we don't have that, we have to copy and then we paste the data we have from our primary spreadsheet, right? Good. So we have our data on this doc.google.com. That's the online spreadsheet from Google, right? Let's just give this a name. Let's call it some federal universities. Is that cities? Did I spell it right? In Nigeria, right? This should be good. So some federal universities in Nigeria. That's the stuff we have here. Then the next thing is we now go to the tool we are going to use. However, we are not clicking on tool, right? We are going to click on extensions that will take us to the tool we want to use. So upon clicking on extension, the name of the tool is actually Geocode by Awesome Table. That's the name of the extension we want to use, but we are calling it a tool now. So the name of the tool we are going to use is Geocode by Awesome Table. However, for you to have it, we already have it installed here. So for you to have it, you go to add-ons under extension, then you go to get add-ons, right? Good. So under your Google workspace marketplace, you just search for the app we are looking for. So that's Geocode by Awesome Table. Good. So you search for Geocode by Awesome Table, then you just click on it. Then we have it here, Geocode by Awesome Table. We have it installed already. So if you don't have it installed, you can actually install it and you are good to go. Then you should see it under You should see it under your extension because it has already been added. So we now go to Geocode by Awesome Table. Then we start geocoding, right? Good. So we have the Geocode tab or the Geocode window up. Then they say Geocode gets lat and long. That's latitudes and longitudes from full addresses. It's even very it's very important. That's why it's emphasized. You can see it's bold, right? Good. From full addresses, and creates a customizable map. We are going to create a map on QGIS. Good. So the current sheet we are working on is actually sheet 1, as you can see here. Then for the address column, now we have multiple fields here. We have the address, we have the city, we have the state, we have the zip, and we have the country, right? Good. Now for us to have a complete, or as they stated it here, for us to have a full address, we need to concatenate all of those other fields to get a single field which will now describe the address very well. So we have to say, are your addresses in multiple columns? Yes, they are actually in multiple columns. So we click on that, then it allows us to have multiple columns, which is by concatenating the address. We don't need the name. The primary keys here should we call it primary keys here? The primary keys here are the addresses, the cities, the states, the zip codes, and the country. So when we concatenate all, you are going to see that, for an example, you have Federal University of Petroleum Resources, Efuru, Delta State, with the zip code and the country, right? Good. So that's how all other columns, all other universities here will be concatenated to that complete or full address, right? Then it will be inserted as a particular column, which we've just clicked insert as a column. Now let's scroll down to see where that new column would be. Good. You now see the new column, right? Full addresses. So you can apply it, as we stated earlier. You can apply it maybe personally, maybe as you've seen from the documentaries we read earlier, maybe you want to create a customer database, maybe a community database, whatever you want, maybe a student database, you're a lecturer, you want to know the different locations of your students from your school, or maybe from the college or wherever. So you can still use that. Now we've actually gotten a field, or let's say a column for the full address. We can now start what geocoding. So you just click on what geocode, then you wait for the lat and long of those full addresses to be loaded. Good. So we have 2 extra columns for our lat and long, and each of those lat and long represents the location of those full addresses, right? Good. They represent the location of those full addresses. So remember, as we stated earlier, the availability of open source GIS data varies from location to location. So sometimes you might have little discrepancy, but the idea is that yes, you are doing something right. So we have the latitude and longitude, we have the full addresses, we have the country, the zip code, the state, the city, and then we also have the name, the address, the name. So since we've actually completed the geocoding, we need to save this as spreadsheet. We need to save it, or we need to download it, so we can now access it on our QGIS package, right? On our GIS package, which we are using QGIS. So you go to file, then you click on download, right? Good. So for us not to maybe start editing again, let's just save it as comma separated values, right? CSV, because it's actually compatible with as many GIS packages as I know for now. So let's just click on download and select comma separated values. But okay, we've unity name, so there's no challenge with that. Then when it's finished, good, we have it downloading. When it finishes, we now move it to our preferred folder and access it on QGIS. So by accessing it on QGIS, we are going to see these addresses falling in their right location because of the lat and long that has been generated. That's the process of geocoding, right? Good. Alright, so the geocoding process is not complete if you don't locate your geocoded addresses. Am I correct by saying that? Yeah, good. If you don't locate your geocoded addresses. So for us to be able to do that easily, one of the ways is for us to use GIS, right? Good. And we are using the QGIS package for this particular exercise. Remember, we just downloaded the geocoded data, so we have to bring it into to QGIS. So we go to layer, then we go to add layer, and then we go to add delimited text layer, because remember we saved it as a CSV file. We use comma separated value, or let's say comma delimited, right? So we have add delimited text layer. Good. So under the data source manager for the delimited text, we have to browse to locate our data, right? Good. So we have a folder called Geocode, and we have our file moved to that folder. We have some federal universities in Nigeria, so we access that and we open it. Now the file format you can see is comma separated, that's CSV. Then we don't need much here. Now the geometry definition is very, very important. Your point coordinates, ensure that you select point coordinates. Then you have your X field as your longitude, your Y field as your latitude, right? Good, because those are the two geographic, those are the two geographic entities that will now help us locate those our addresses on Earth. Should we call it that? Yeah, good. Then your CRS is equally important. The CRS we are using is WGS84. So if you have something else selected, you can just click on that CRS selector, then you select WGS84, right? Good. So upon doing all of those, you can see a preview sample data of the CSV, or let's say the geocoded file we have. So all of these are okay. Just click on add, then you can just close, right? Good. So these are the different points. We can just show the labels just for visualization purpose. Good. So these are the different some of the federal universities in Nigeria. Now remember we said we were going to overlay it on an open source map, right? So let's see that. Let's go to browser from what your data source manager, then let's use the OpenStreetMap. Then we are also going to use one of Google's product, which is what we go to web, quick map services, then we go to Google and we select Google Hybrid, right? Good. Now let's move this up a bit, so let's bring this one down as the case may be. So good. Now we have our points plotted on QGIS, and we are trying to locate those points, overlaying those points on an OpenStreetMap. Yeah, we have the OpenStreetMap and the Google Map here to see how well those points are located, right? So you can see, yeah, we have Obafemi Awolowo University very much in the heart of Osun State, Osogbo, right? So by the time you keep zooming in, you should be able to locate that the point where that Obafemi Awolowo University falls is within, or let's say is inside the campus of that university, which is not in doubt, right? Good. So if you can't access the label from there, let's use this other map to see if it can help us to. Good. It has actually labeled it very correctly, and the font there is actually on a black color, so it will not be very easy for you to read. We are going to change that very soon, but you can see that we are actually in the university campus, right? Good. So that defines that particular point. Let's still see for a few other points before we call it a wrap. Let's come to my beautiful state of Rivers State. Then let's locate the federal university there, which is the University of Port Harcourt, located at Shoba, right? Good. So let's see how well that particular point falls, and you've seen the process of geocoding. We've actually seen, okay, that's the teaching hospital there, right? Good. So let's still keep zooming in to see how that goes. We can rightly just come to the attribute table, right? Open attribute table, and then maybe zoom to that particular feature. So which of the universities? So these are different options you can actually explore. So let's say zoom to feature, right? Then let's minimize this, and then we should be able to zoom to that particular feature. Good. So this is what the University of Port Harcourt, right? Good. Now the font is not legible enough. We can actually work on those fonts. So you double click on that layer. Good. So we have what the labels manager here. The labeling value is the name. Let's change this font type to something I prefer, which is the Times New Roman, right? Good. The Times New Roman. Let's make it bold, italics. Then let's change this color to red or something, right? Let's use this, right? Good. So I believe, okay, let's make this 20 be too loud. Okay, let's make it 15. Let's make it 15, and let's apply and see how that goes. So I think good, that's fair enough, right? That's fair enough. So these are some of the other stuff you can do with them. You can increase or decrease this marker. You can give it different symbols, right? Good. You can use different symbols for it. You can actually use the educational symbol for it if there is any. Yeah, there is. Yeah, use an educational symbol for it. So there are different stuff you can do. Change the color. So basically, this is how you geocode addresses and how you plot them. Yeah, should I call it plot them? How you plot them on GIS and overlay those addresses on an OpenStreetMap, which, or let's say open source map, which we have used OSM and Google Library for this particular exercise. So thanks for coming to class. We hope it's actually exhaustive enough, and we hope that you found it interesting. If you do, please like this video, share with your friends, and encourage us by commenting, and don't forget to support the channel as well. We are going to see you on the next video. Until then, keep being good at what you're doing, and have a very good time. Bye.